So we're back for our 39th anniversary on Tequila Corner. My name is Mike Moreno, and I'm here with Sergio, and he's going to be showing us how to make some real simple and quick kind of mixed drinks with Luchador tequila, along with the Numero 3 from Uno Dos Tres.
Sol de los arenales, regada en sangre del bravo Saigüenque, grito que está volviendo en tu desbocado otro pehuenche.
So yeah, we're going to start off with a margarita, I believe.
Absolutely. Today I'm just going to make a standard margarita with just the tequila, lime, and sweetener.
And this is something that almost anyone can do at home pretty easily, am I correct?
You are correct. All right, so to make a margarita, it's fairly simple. Now the proportions can be adjusted to your own personal taste. So this is just a basic guideline on how to make a margarita. You definitely want to make sure that you're using fresh lime juice. Anything else is going to really taint the margarita. It's not going to be as balanced, and it's not going to give you that full agave flavor that you want out of a margarita. So fresh lime juice, I use about an ounce. Again, these proportions can be changed due to personal preference. So about an ounce of lime, agave nectar, which is just a natural sweetener. I use about a half ounce of that. And then for this particular margarita, as we were talking about before, we created the Luchador with the cocktail enthusiast in mind because it is a higher proof spirit. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2 ounces of the Luchador.
And this should be able to serve about 2 people, or?
Ideally 1, but you can definitely split it into 2 if you know if you're not into finishing an entire cocktail. It can definitely serve 2 people. One key thing that you always want to do is you want to make sure that you dilute the cocktail, and we're going to do that by adding ice and shaking it. What that does, it marries all the flavors together, and it just harmonizes all of them. So just want to give it a really nice shake. Don't be afraid to shake it. As I mentioned, dilution is a very, very key point in making cocktails. So the what I was using to shake the margarita is called a shaker. So that's where you add all your ingredients and the ice, and then give it a nice quick shake. Then next we have our strainers. So this is a regular Hawthorne strainer. And I personally always like to fine strain all of my cocktails, regardless of what they are, simply because if you notice, there's little chips of ice in here that I caught.
Sure.
So it keeps them away from the cocktail. It just creates a better mouthfeel to it. It's just basically for aesthetics, but I'm a big fan of not having any little chips of ice in my cocktail. And then we always taste our cocktails first with our eyes, so the garnish is something very important as well. You might think that it's not adding anything to the cocktail, but in reality, it will change your thought as far as what a cocktail might taste like. So I'm just gonna use a little lime peel and kind of squeeze the oils over it, rub the rim a little bit so you can get some really nice citrus aromas while you enjoy your cocktail. So this here is a margarita.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Salud.
Wow. This is something I could drink every single day.
Most people do. That's why it's the #1 selling cocktail in the United
it's
States.
absolutely amazing. You did a great job.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, so now we're going to be making a Paloma using the exact same Luchador 110 proof tequila.
Correct. So the Paloma is a cocktail that sometimes gets forgotten when talking about cocktails made with tequila. Club soda, is definitely going to add that texture that you want to a Paloma. But the key ingredients, in my opinion, in the Paloma is the grapefruit juice. Now, you definitely want to use fresh grapefruit juice when making your Paloma. So, for example, you're going to do about an ounce of grapefruit juice. And you kind of want to add a little bit of lime juice as well. What that does, it brightens up the cocktail a little bit more, and it actually brings out the grapefruit even more. So maybe just about a ½ ounce to 3/4 ounce lime juice. Again, that's just personal preference. And then, as with all cocktails, you should have some kind of sweetener. Now, people sometimes are afraid when you say, oh, we're going to use agave in the cocktail or simple syrup, because they think it's going to be a sweet cocktail. What it does in reality is just it brings all the flavors together.
Okay.
And then again, we're going to use the Luchador, about another 2 ounces. As I mentioned with the previous cocktail, we definitely want to get some nice dilution in it, so we're going to go ahead and shake it again. Make sure all the flavors are married nicely. And as I stated previously, I always like to double strain all of my cocktails just to catch any of the chipped ice that comes from the shaking of the beverage. So lastly, all we're going to do, as I mentioned, we're just going to top it off with a little bit of club soda.
Usually add like a splash of club soda then?
Basically, yeah. There's no real measurement behind it, just a little splash. And then the garnish is something that, it comes to a preference. So a lot of people like to salt their palomas. A lot of people like to use a grapefruit wedge on their paloma. I like to contrast the colors in the cocktail. So instead of using, grapefruit on grapefruit, I'm going to go ahead and use the lime, simply because it stands out a little bit more as far as visual appeal.
Sure. Thank
Paloma.
you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to get drunk after this.
It's Saturday. It's okay.
This is the perfect, basically, in my opinion, one of the best things you could possibly be drinking at about 4 o'clock on a Saturday right now. So
On a nice warm day for sure.
yeah, it's a beautiful day outside, and I'm definitely going to be drinking this afterwards. So
Salud.
appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, and I guess for our last cocktail that we're going to be making is a Tequila Old Fashion, which I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard out there because people are used to Old Fashions having a rye or a bourbon, but this is going to kind of give you a nice little twist on what a traditional Old Fashion is.
So an Old Fashion is, one of the simpler cocktails to make. However, if not made properly, it can be very, very not a flavorful cocktail. So what you want to do with an Old Fashioned is you want to take some bitters, some aromatic bitters. Just give it a nice couple of dashes into the mixing glass.
You don't want to go overboard with this. Trust me,
Correct.
I made it before, and I added too much bitters, and I absolutely ruined my Old Fashioned.
Absolutely. Again, a little bit of sweetener, just to give it some balance and some mouthfeel. I would say, give or take, maybe anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 ounce of sweetener. And then we're gonna use the Anejo as our spirit. We're gonna go ahead and do 2 ounces of the Anejo. Now, something that you'll notice is that with this cocktail here, I am not going to shake it as I did with the previous two. This cocktail here is going to be stirred. And the reason why you want to stir this cocktail is because it doesn't have any citrus. So what you want to do is you want to dilute the cocktail enough without actually watering it down. And by shaking a cocktail with only spirit in it, it's definitely something that will happen. You'll water down the cocktail too much. So you just want to give it a nice little stir. You can feel the glass and see once it starts to get a little nice and cool, you know that the cocktail is ready. So then you just want to take your regular rocks glass, fill it up with a couple of cubes, and pour the beverage onto it. And typically for a garnish, an Old Fashioned will have an orange peel. So it just gives it a nice little aroma. So you just kind of want to express the oils over it. And then you can just, throw the orange peel in there.
Simple and sweet. This actually might have been the easiest one you made today. So And you get a lot of the kind of orange citrus notes already coming off the nose right there. No, that's exactly what an old fashioned should taste like. It's funny because although it is made with, with an añejo, because of the barrel notes, you are getting a lot of that kind of vanilla barrel spice notes that you would get out of a typical old fashioned. It's actually very good. Actually, I kind of like this a little more than some of the old fashions I've had.
There you go.
So, yeah, you just killed it right here. But hey, Sergio, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you supporting us for our 39th anniversary. It's definitely a very special day for us. For those of you that aren't aware, our 39th anniversary will be May 20th to the 22nd. May 21st will be the Tequila Revolucion, so we're going to have a ton of tequilas being poured out that day. I highly recommend you guys stopping out. We're going to have food trucks, lots of games going on outside, free tastings inside the store of at least, I believe, I want to say like 30 to 40 different tequilas that we will have in there. So you got to stop out, and it's going to be a good time. On that note, we're going to sign off. Salud, muchas gracias.
Salud, everyone.